you know, my world, it's to go further. It's to go somewhere else. You know, it's not to stay and say, hey, we use the existing. No, no, no. We design from zero. We make things out of fantasy, out of like somewhere it doesn't exist. So this is the point. The point is like to make something where you don't know where you're going as a brand and as an artist and a designer. It's like we love to go somewhere where we are discovering together, you know? When I started with the drawings of the space, I was really free, you know, and I tried to make something that was like a painting almost, you know. Like I'm a painter as well, so you know I paint many days in every week, you know, in my life. I have an atelier of painting, so I was thinking very much like, hey, what happens if you enter a painting? You know, you have the sky, you have the objects, the architecture, you have the people, you have the elements, everything become a known world, you know? And it's about color, it's about composition, it's about diversity, it's about contrast, it's about form. So when I think about the space, I think about like, it's not a space, it's like you're entering a scenography which is built up of fantasy, and it's built up as a painting. And that makes it so special. You know, it's when graphical elements are in the ceiling, when graphical elements are in the floor, when they become three-dimensional because of a sculpture, when they become a table and a texture, when the texture, it's making you understand that there's a, you know, a certain type of a movement, you know, so the transparencies where people pass behind, the see-through of the glass, you know, the arches where you pass, the idea of looking very far on the angles, all that become a little bit of a painting idea. So transparency, when I mean transparency is that you can see through. You can see through like that, for instance, which is very nice with different colors. So for example, these colors come back, you know, the blue comes back into a chair and then it comes back into an object, into a shelf. The green comes back into a chair and it comes back into a shelf. So there's a lot of game on that. And I think that has to do a little bit with painting as well, you know. When I paint, there's always like the relationship in between color. You know, the relationship in between one color that comes back into another. The green comes back into another green. The blue comes back into another blue. There's a balance. And I think in the space here, there's a balance into everything. Of this space in Daegu. For me, the story is like to create a forum. So there is this story of going from one world to another within the forum. And then if it's not enough, then you're getting out and you have the sculptures, which are the gates in which you're crossing and looking at these figures. It's a moment of thinking, it's a moment of tranquility, it's a moment of discovery. So there is all these elements that to me, they become super special. You know, for me, when I think about the space, I think the person that's going to visit, it's special, you know, and they have to feel good. They have to feel different. And it's more what it stays in your mind, you know, after you come to a space like this. It's like, what does it give you? What is the emotion you get? And also, how much the space can give you diversity. How much every time you come, if you sit in one angle, it's going to be different the next day because it's going to be very, very different than before. You know, so that's a really important thing for me. It's an aspect of variety, of diversity, you know. You see shapes that are in the floor that become part of the textures that you have on the walls, you know. And this is very surreal because like suddenly this shape suddenly becomes a shape in the wall there, or the texture that you have in the architecture of the cafe becomes a texture that you have in, you know, the detail on the table, for instance, you know. The most important thing of the sculptures were like they're having different gestures. So I invented these sort of animals, and for me they're doing gestures of like sort of happiness, like dancing, looking at the sky. The guy a little bit exhausted about life. The little dog that is like not a dog, but it's like kind of a mixture animal. You know, the fountain which drops you know, all over the place, the water. So this idea of this symbolism, and part of my world is like, you know, I just wanted to to have these elements also that suddenly also carry some of the graphics that you see in the space. You know, like for example, the triangles, the rhomboids, all these things, the stars, all those come back into the shapes. And for me, like these guys like a dancer, you know, these other guys like complete like a king, you know, like one is like welcoming you, like sort of like saying hello to you. And you're going into these, they become like, you know, my style gates. They're gates, you know, in which people go around. There's only a staircase in which you can see, you can go up and you can look at all the space, make a photo of all the space. And this will grow and it will become beautiful with the seasons, and it will have the green as I want. In the future, it will look much nicer because the green is going to be there, you know, so it's going to contrast. It took so many hours, so many brainstorming, so many experts, my team in Europe, the team in Hyundai, the experts of every single, you know, of every single discipline, to make something like this, because it's not that you buy it and you place it, no, it's that you have to invent it. So to invent it means we have to invent furniture, we have to invent lamps, we have to make textures, we have to make spaces, we have to make art, you know? So there's a lot in there. So there's something always very unique and surreal in the space. You know, this is how I normally, you know, think about this space. It's like